Have you ever wondered how a foreign nurse can work in the United States and what visas are actually required for a nurse to be able to work in America? Well, watch this video and I'll tell you how. So what's happening right now, and we are kind of 2018 going on 2019, the situation with visas for nurses is quite hard. Immigration Service is quite strict as far as how to adjudicate those petitions, and nurses are required to prove a lot of things to be able to come and work in the United States. At the same time, the shortage of nurses is continuing to grow in the United States, and therefore there is really a need for foreign nurses to come and work here. The good news is that in early 2000 there was a crisis in the amount of visas that were available for nurses. So it took nurses many years to wait for their visas to be adjudicated before they can come to the United States. But now that crisis is coming to an end, and the wait time for nurses from the Philippines and from India and from China has definitely been reduced. So let me tell you how nurses can actually come to the United States and get visas. In the early 80s, 90s, there was a specific visa available for nurses under the H-1C category. That particular visa allowed nurses to use that visa to come and work if they met certain requirements. Around 2009, that visa was actually canceled. There was no longer that opportunity. And so right now, most nurses who want to work in the United States are able to come by being petitioned by their employer specifically directly for a green card, or certain nurses that have a master's degree or a bachelor degree plus 5 years experience and are working in a particular category like a nurse practitioner or in management positions can come on H-1B visas. But most nurses are going to come to the United States by being petitioned for a green card directly by an employer. So what is required for that? First of all, most nurses that are going to come here and be petitioned for a green card must have a visa screen, which is basically equivalency of their education done by the CGFNS organization that is in charge of equivalency of education for foreign nurses. It is also important for those nurses to pass the IELTS English exam. They have to have sufficient English proficiency before they can come and work in the United States. They also must pass a state license. So if they want to work in California or Texas, they must hold already the state license. And finally, they must also pass the NCLEX exam, which is the national licensing exam. Those are the main criteria that those nurses need even before they're even being able to be petitioned. The other thing that they need is a job offer, typically from a hospital that is going to offer them that job and sponsor them for permanent residency. So the most common way is to be petitioned for permanent residency, and typically that employer will file for what is called an I-140, which is the immigrant petition. That application will include the nurse's credentials, information about the employer, about the position, a prevailing wage determination to show that that is particular wage in that particular state and that employer is attesting to pay that wage to that nurse. And typically once that I-140 is approved, depending on where the nurse is from, so let's say we have a nurse from the Philippines, right now the wait time for a priority date for an approved nurse with an I-140 is about a year and a half, just short of 2 years. So even when that petition is approved, the nurse will have to wait in their home country for their priority date to be approved before they can come and attend their visa interview at the U.S. Embassy in the home country and collect their immigrant visa and come to the United States. So the most common way for nurses to come to the United States is being petitioned by an employer, typically a hospital, and obtain their green card and then come to the United States after a particular waiting period that they wait in their home country. Another way is that those nurses that qualify for, they hold an advanced degree and are in specific positions like management or nurse practitioners, they can apply for H-1B visas, and we'll talk about that in a separate video. So the most common way is being petitioned for a green card by an employer. You must meet those requirements in a visa screen, educational credentials, equivalency, pass the English exam and the NCLEX, and of course pass the state licensing and have an employer that petitions for their green card. And again, there's a need for nurses, and nurses that are coming from Canada or Mexico can also qualify for a TN visa, and we'll do a separate video about a TN visa. So those nurses that immigrated from the Philippines to Canada over the years and are now Canadian citizens are able to come to the United States using a TN visa as long as they have a Canadian license and they meet other requirements that we talk about in separate videos. So here we go, green card, H-1B, or a TN if you're a nurse from Canada or Mexico. Hope this information was helpful. If you like this video, please mention in the comments. If you have any questions, let me know, and make sure to subscribe to our channel because we have more other amazing videos coming your way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.